the question that I have here is, where do I find inspiration? This is a really good question. And sometimes I don't have inspiration, but one of the things that I really enjoy, to the point where I reached, or that I'm at, and you can see that I've been a little bit of my story. I've been producing in FL Studio for, I don't know, 15 years. I remember when the first time that I saw FL Studio, I was like, what the hell is that? I have to have that software. And the idea of making music in a computer was completely alien for me. And I think it was FL Studio version 3 or version 5, something like that, or even maybe version 7. I don't remember exactly, but I think I would go with the middle, version 5. And at that point, I was maybe 16 years old, or 17, maybe 17. I was not even in college, or so it was even before college. So I was very young when I start learning FL Studio. And now FL Studio is in version 20, so it's been a while. And I used FL Studio, I used Ableton, I used Pro Tools. I didn't use Cubase, neither Reason. And now I'm using also Studio One. But FL Studio remained my main DAW for making beats. So I've come a long way. So that to explain my or a little bit of my introduction to FL Studio or music production. But another point here is that for this channel, I already done 700 beats and close to 500 tutorials. So it's been a long process, and you can see that it's a lot of work, a lot of videos, and a lot of energy putting into this. So it's nowadays I don't have too much. How can I say? I don't need extra motivation per se, or extra inspiration. Wherever I want to make music, I just open FL Studio and I make something. Sometimes it takes me longer. Sometimes it's really fast. I just open FL Studio and everything goes well. Sometimes it takes me longer. And when it takes longer, it's like, if everything goes well, I can do a beat in 20 minutes. If it doesn't go well, I can be here messing around with some sounds and testing stuff out, and it can take me like 1 hour, 1 hour and 20, 1 hour and a half. Sometimes nowadays it's very rare, but in the past it used to happen that I would open FL Studio, make something, didn't like it, and close FL Studio without even saving the project. But nowadays that doesn't happen. Whenever I go into FL Studio, I go with the goal of making music and having something at the end that I can use for sure. That's my main thing. And because I've been through so many beats and so many tutorials and so many years of using FL Studio, I don't need extra inspiration to make music. It's just something natural in my workflow. So you want to reach that point, but at the same time, sometimes I just hear a song that I like, or a thing that I've heard in a series or a video or a movie, or even on YouTube. I hear something and I say, that's cool. I want to do something like that. So I just open up FL Studio and start doing something. But most of the times, that's not, I would say that's maybe like 10% of the times. But most of the times, I just open FL Studio and start making stuff. And because I've done so many beats and so many things, it's kind of normal for me to open up FL Studio and have something at the end. Sometimes I go into FL Studio with a specific idea. I want to make a hard rap beat or a gangster rap beat or a lo-fi beat. Like for instance, today I did a lo-fi beat. So sorry, I go into FL Studio with a specific idea, and sometimes that happens. Other times I just open up FL Studio to see what's popping, and whatever comes in the end comes in the end. So I would say inspiration is a little bit overrated. You don't need inspiration; you just need experience. I think that's the best advice that I could give. If you don't have inspiration, it's just you cannot rely on inspiration to make music or anything. It's like it's like the same thing. For instance, let me give you an analogy. Um, what hmm, a good analogy would be, what's your motivation to work out? I don't need motivation to work out. I just know that it's good for my body, it's good for my health, and also it's good for my physical appearance. So I just work out. Unfortunately, I had to stop this week because I had a injury in my back. But I stop because it's a physical limitation. And now that I'm getting better, I can move around again. But I'm really eager to start working out again, and I don't need motivation. It's overrated. What I have to do is I set a goal that I want to work out every single day until the rest of my life, and that's it. It's a decision that I made, and that's I'm going to keep that decision until I can, and that's my goal. It's my motivation, let's say, but it's a motivation based on a decision. So sometimes I don't feel motivated to work out. Sometimes I stay in the couch and I look at the running shoes and I'm like, gosh, I don't want to do this. And then I think, yeah, this is until the end of your life. And I do it. I go through it. It's the same thing with music. I think you don't need inspiration to make music. You just have to make music. You have to make something happen. And the better you get, the more inspired you will feel, because it's like whenever you get to a point where music just natural, that's when you start having where your creativity starts to shine, and you start to be more creative because you don't have many limitations. But that's it. I hope that answers the question. I think I went on a loop just to say inspiration is overrated, but I think stories really help out and analogies really help out to get an idea of music. Music is not how can I say? Music is not something alien. You can be a good musician even if you are 80 years old. You just have to do it the correct way, or the way that feels good. And if you have the concepts of making music, you will make good music. If you have good concepts, you will make good music. If you had bad concepts, you will make bad music. So that's the thing. And you don't need inspiration. Inspiration is fine whenever it comes. It's really good and it can really help you out, but you don't need inspiration. You just need hard work and make it happen. That's my answer to where do I find inspiration. I don't.